Dear students of 8A, 8B, the mentioned points: number 1, reduction of age for ICS exam, Imperial Darbar Delhi, Ilward Bill controversy, birth of Indian nationalism. First one, reduction of age for ICS exam. Reduction of age of ICS examination. What is the full form of ICS? Indian Civil Service Exam. ICS means Indian Civil Service. At present, WBCS, West Bengal Civil Service Exam. During British period, ICS exam was held, but there was discrimination between the Indians and the Europeans or Britishers. In order to remove discrimination, in order to remove all kinds of discriminations between the British and the Indians had been protesting in order to stop irregularities while conducting the ICS exam. But Indian Civil Service exam was held. It was due to Indian Civil Service exam was held, only for the rich people of India. The Indians who belonged to rich family, they were allowed to take part in the ICS exam. The Indians had been demanding that the exam of ICS, Indian Civil Service, should be held in India also. Although ICS exam was held in England, but for the poor people, but for the poor family, from the poor family, in spite of being qualities, skills, poor student could not compete the ICS exam because it was held only in England but not in India. The Congress leaders, Indian leaders had been strongly protesting against that system of conducting ICS exam only from England but not from India also. Besides, there was the age limit. When the age limit for the candidates appearing for the ICS exam, means in that time during British period it was Imperial Civil Service exam. During British period it was ICS exam means Imperial Civil Service exam. Whenever the Indian leaders strongly demanded for ICS exam to be held in India also. They at the same time also strongly opposed the reduction of age limit, because earlier the age limit was 21. That means a student of 21 years old could take part in the ICS exam, Imperial Civil Service exam. But the British reduced 2 years age more and declared that 19 years of age students that means students having 19 years of age, minimum 19 years of age, would be allowed to take part or to sit for the ICS exam. Students of 19 years of age. That means, and during British period, many students of India, in spite of being qualities, skills, they could not take part in the ICS exam since they completed their college education by the age of 21, 22, 23, like that, 24, like that. That's why they were unable to take part because age limit, the British reduced the age from 21 to 21 to 19. So all these discriminatory policies of the British gave rise to agitations against them by the Indians. Now, Imperial Darbar, Delhi. What is Imperial Darbar Delhi? Imperial Darbar Delhi was held in Delhi in the year 1877. Now, this Imperial Darbar also is known as Proclamation of Queen Victoria, Proclamation of Queen Victoria as Empress of India by the British. Queen Victoria and his proclamation as the Empress of India had become a great incident in Indian history. In order to honor Queen Victoria as the Empress of India, the Grand Delhi Darbar was held in the year 1877. A lot of money and resources were, wasted. A lot of money was spent in order to make that incident more and more attractive. But it happened at the time when India was facing a severe famine. India was facing a famine, but no initiative was taken for the famine-affected people. The people who were living in the famine-affected areas, no aid was provided for them, but the British spent a lot of money in order to glorify their image at Delhi Darbar. They spent a lot of money for the proclamation of Queen Victoria as the Empress of India, but they did not spend a single amount of money for the people of famine affected areas. So it created a great discontent among the Indians. The Indians started agitation by organizing a group of common people, a group of mass of our country. They decided to make agitation, revolt against the British. The next point, Ilbert Bill controversy. Ilbert Bill controversy. What is Ilbert Bill controversy? Another important event took place in the history of India, that is Ilbert Bill controversy in the year 1883. A bill was passed by Ilbert mentioning that the British criminals would be tried by the Indian judges. Under the system of Ilbert Bill, it was decided that Indian judges would be able to try for the British criminals. Earlier, the British offenders were tried by only British judges. But under the newly introduced system of Ilbert Bill, a new system was introduced that the British offenders, the British criminals would be tried by Indian judges. It harmed the sentiments of the Britishers. They did not want to accept the Indian judges to be tried by them. That's why the British protested against the system of the Ilbert Bill. As a result of it, the Ilbert Bill was rectified later. Now, what was the reason the Ilbert Bill was passed? The Ilbert Bill was passed in order to remove legal discrimination between Indians and the British. And according to that bill, the British citizen could be tried by Indian judges, but earlier that system was not there. Earlier the British citizen was tried by only the British judges. That's why the Ilbert Bill was not accepted by the Britishers. It was rectified. It was strongly opposed by the British and ultimately was rectified. Another point, that is birth of Indian nationalism. Birth of Indian nationalism. Birth of Indian nationalism. The Indian Congress leaders or Indian leaders like Surendranath Banerjee, like Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Dadabhai Nauroji, they all were highly qualified people, highly educated Indians. But they did not want to accept any act of misery for the Indian people, especially those who were living below poverty line and were maltreated by the Britishers. Indian educated people strongly supported their stance. In order to remove their distress, their miserable conditions, three great personalities of India who belonged to the early nationalist groups, Dadabhai Nauroji, Surendranath Banerjee, and Gopal Krishna Gokhale, they combinedly fought against the Indians who were not treated equally by the British. Surendranath Banerjee set up Indian National Conference in the year 1883. Indian National Conference. It was the first Indian political organization established by Surendranath Banerjee. Surendranath Banerjee, was a teacher of English. While teaching Indian students, he came to know the miserable conditions of their parents. He heard the miserable conditions of the Indian common people, mass, from their children while teaching, and came to a conclusion that there should be an all-Indian political organizations for the Indians. There must be an all-Indian political organization for the Indian people in order to make sure their rights, their privileges, they all were being deprived of it. And hence, Surendranath Banerjee set up an all-Indian political organization in the year 1883 and named it Indian National Conference. Afterwards, A.O. Hume, an ex-British civilian, set up Indian National Congress in the year 1885. As soon as Indian National Congress was established in the year 1885 by A.O. Hume, Surendranath Banerjee's Indian National Conference, which was set up 2 years back, was merged with it. Surendranath Banerjee felt that Indian National Conference, which was set up by him in the year 1883, should work unitedly with the Indian National Congress, the newly established all Indian political organizations for the Indians. Surendranath Banerjee intended to get it merged with Indian National Congress. And so, he talked to A.O. Hume. After a few minutes acquaintance with Surendranath Banerjee, A.O. Hume realized that the intention of Surendranath Banerjee was good. He had no ego that he established Indian National Conference 2 years back was not a factor for him. It had not become any factor for Surendranath Banerjee since he wanted to work for the Indian people. That's why he proposed A.O. Hume to get his Indian National Conference merged with Indian National Congress. A.O. Hume gladly accepted the proposal of Surendranath Banerjee. And then Surendranath Banerjee's Indian National Conference merged with Indian National Congress. National Conference merged with Indian National Congress in the year 1885. And by this way, it gave a birth of an all-Indian political organization, the Indian National Congress, was set up by A.O. Hume, an ex-British civilian. Up to this, my dear students, thank you.